Mine own name is Jason, aged 38, and until but 3 days past, I did believe I held a firm grasp upon the course of mine existence. With 2 companions from my days of learning, I share the stewardship of a tech enterprise of moderate size. For 6 years, I have been wed to a lady whom I once deemed my truest friend, and in my heart, I held the conviction that I was crafting a future of significance, alongside one who truly cherished my presence therein. We hath not yet been blessed with offspring, though her progenitors did oft suggest, "Thou art not growing any younger." Her mother would utter, while serving forth the mashed tubers, adorned with a smile so taut, it failed to touch the depths of her gaze. In days of yore, I did but jest and cast it aside. I did believe they sought but to partake. Many musings did I ponder in the chambers of my mind. Upon the eve when all did change, it commenced with naught but folly, a simple repast. Her kin doth host one of these grand, semi-formal assemblies every few moons. Her mother doth lay the table as if for a grand nuptial feast, with gilded plates and floral adornments that fill the chamber with a fragrance akin to a perfumer's shop. They dost ever beseech me to lend mine aid in the arrangement, and I have ever replied in the affirmative. Verily, I bore it with naught but indifference. In sooth, I find great joy in being entwined within a venture that doth evoke, gentle and comforting. Though oftentimes her kin did scarce lift their gaze from the glowing screens, and her uncles regarded me as naught but a wayward soul her father had unwittingly permitted to cross the threshold. In yonder kitchen, I did pour the drinks, a merry laughter escaping mine lips, for her father had bestowed upon me a grand vessel, bidding me to be bounteous with the libations, for such is the sole means to endure the trials of these long, weary nights. As I didst venture forth to procure more ice from the cooler's depths, I was met with the sound of voices wafting through the door. Her uncle Paul, a man of boisterous tongue, ever possessed of words to share, did converse with another within. She might have soared to greater heights. Verily, Jason doth suffice, yet prithee, let us not be deceived. He is but a fleeting passage upon this mortal coil. Then did mine wife's voice resound, unwavering, chilled to the bone. Not for an age, I say. When the transfer doth reach its destined close, I shall depart, and with me, I shall carry away a portion of his enterprise. In the beginning, I did believe mine ears had betrayed me. There I did stand, clutching a pouch of ice, half melted, as the crimson hue fled from my visage, as though some unseen hand had drawn forth a plug from the depths of my being. In patience I did linger, yearning for her mirth, that she might jest, proclaiming it but a jest, or utter some words, any words, to render this truth a mere illusion. Yet she did not. Lo, but silence reigns supreme. Then came the clinking of glasses, accompanied by a gentle shuffle as one did depart from the threshold. With a countenance untroubled, I did return, a smile gracing my lips, serving forth libations, and engaging in discourse upon the whims of the weather. With a smile that mayhap appeared somewhat strained, I did present unto her cousin a goblet of Chardonnay. Mine hands did tremble with such fervour, I verily came close to letting slip a vessel of effervescent nectar. She marked it not. Perchance she did, yet cared not a whit. That was the moment that struck mine heart with the fiercest blow. Her manner, as though all were well, did mask the truth, as if I were but a fool, too simple or too credulous to perceive the hidden design. Throughout the evening, I drifted as though on a gentle breeze, donning a smile at the jest of another, and laughing with a vigor most excessive when her father recounted a tale I had oft heard before, a dozen times or more. At one moment, her hand did grace my shoulder. Verily, I didst nearly recoil. Yet I did not permit it to be revealed. With a gentle nod, I bestowed a tender kiss upon her temple, as is my custom, and proclaimed that the feast was truly wondrous. She didst beam upon me. That feigned, gleaming radiance she donned in the presence of her patrons. In that moment, the revelation dawned upon me. Perchance it hath ever been but a facade. When all had departed, I took to the task of washing the dishes. Mine heart did crave a diversion. She ascended the stairs to partake in a swift ablution, and did beseech me to fetch her device's charger. I did acquiesce, indeed. Upon mine entrance to our chamber a mere 10 minutes hence, mine eyes did behold her device, aglow and face upward, revealing a missive from a contact known as Marcy. Lo, it was a man. In that moment, I did perceive it with utmost clarity. Verily, I needed not to peruse the entirety of the discourse, but merely the initial lines sufficed. Canst thou believe he remains unawares? Only 2 more days remain, and we shall be unburdened. I did not lay mine hands upon her device. Not a syllable did I utter. Upon yon nightstand I didst leave the charger, as if naught had transpired. Then I didst retire to the chamber of guests, closed the portal, and gazed upon the ceiling until the dawn did break. Mine heart did not shatter. It did seethe and bubble forth. Upon the morrow's light she bestowed upon my cheek a tender kiss, as was her custom, and did inform me of a gathering in the city, promising her return would be delayed until the night's embrace. With a gentle nod, I beheld her as she didst depart through the threshold, clad in that blazer she oft donned when seeking to leave an impression upon another. As soon as she did depart, I set mine hand to labor. In the span of 6 fleeting years, I hath surreptitiously woven protections into all that I possess. Reserves, thou dost provide solace in times of need. Accords. Even the shares in yon company were fashioned in such a manner that granted me the ultimate voice o'er any transfer. Yet she was unaware of that truth. She did believe she could weave her way in, nestle close to my esteemed partners, and depart with a portion of the equity, all whilst wearing a most self-satisfied grin. Upon the break of day, I did summon mine attorney, then mine accountant, then my noble co-founders. I didst lay it all bare, bit by bit, as the tapestry of fate doth unfold. Mine anticipation led me to believe they would be taken aback, enraged. Yet they were not. They appeared weary, as if the weight of the world did rest upon their shoulders. One amongst them, Ryan, did but sigh and utter, Verily, good sir, we have been in anticipation of thy gaze upon it. She hath been engaging in the art of patience, weaving her strategy with the threads of time. Upon the eve's return, she didst enter, a melody upon her lips. Verily, I find myself in a state of gentle humming. She entered, bearing a vessel of sustenance, as though she had not, but a day prior, laid bare my very soul. Art thou vexed that I did tarry so late in the night, perchance? She inquired, casting her gaze into the chamber of living, her eyes wide, yet veiled in artifice. Nay, I did declare, 'tis not so. In thee I place my trust. And I scarce could contain my mirth at the ease with which the falsehood did escape my lips. The ensuing days did unfold as if in a languid tapestry, each moment stretched and drawn as though time itself did linger in its embrace. She did maintain her visage, did summon me forth, inquiring if I wished to conspire a journey for the season of rebirth, and even proffered her culinary skills. I did acquiesce to all that was proposed. I did perform mine own role. Didst smile. He didst nod. Verily, I concur. Then did the 3rd morn arrive. In mine own chamber did the tempest commence. Lo, my device did illuminate with a radiant glow. Once upon a time. Yet once more. Then without cease. Summons from her fair self. From her mother. From her kinsman, the uncle. From figures unknown to mine eyes. Epistles. Writings. Hark! Tidings dost arrive. One doth follow the other in swift succession. Her name didst appear upon mine screen 6 times ere I didst finally take up the call. She wept with sorrow's heavy hand upon her heart. Alas, a cry doth pierce the air. How couldst thou? O Jason, what mischief hast thou wrought? I did not respond. I was not compelled to do so. Lo, 'tis then I did hear the gentle rap upon the portal of mine abode. O, burden most weighty, swift as the fleeting breeze. Then, prithee, another, and yet another. The realm at last did find its pace with her own. Upon the knocker's gentle rap, I did not hasten to the portal forthwith. I did permit the knocking to persist until it transformed into a tempest of pounding, as though the soul beyond the portal feared my very essence would dissipate should they not rend the door asunder. Yet I found myself rooted, as if the very ground did hold me fast. I did beseech her to tarry a while. I did desire her to dwell in that stillness and ponder. Forsooth, in this moment most rare, I found myself not the one in haste to mend the frayed threads of harmony. I was the one who grasped the fateful cards. At length, I did approach the portal with measured steps, as though I possessed all the hours of the universe at my command. Upon mine opening, I beheld her standing there, clad in garments of yestermorn. Alas, the visage doth bear the marks of art undone, locks entwined in a most perplexing manner. Her visage bore the marks of sleepless nights, as though Morpheus had forsaken her weary brow. Well met! Her uncle stood in the shadows, his visage aflame with wrath, as though a grievous affront had been laid upon the very essence of his lineage. "Jason," she began, her voice quaking with emotion, "pray, may we engage in discourse?" I did lean upon the doorframe, bestowing upon her the same courteous and inscrutable gaze she had oft employed upon me through the years. Verily, I did proclaim, "Wouldst thou care to enter? Or dost thou merely come to gather what remains?" Her uncle did advance, with pomp and bravado. "Thou hast committed a grievous error, my son. Thou art not in possession of sound thought. Lo, this doth seem an overreaction." I didst incline mine head. "Fain, I find it most intriguing. Forsooth, I am most certain that scheming to deceive thy partner and usurp his enterprise doth constitute the truest overreaction. Yet, prithee, I am no sage in matters of the law. She didst step betwixt us. Pray, Jason, I beseech thee. I did not intend such a thing. Lo, I had no intent to proceed with such a course, prithee understand. It was naught but mere discourse. I did not so much as flutter mine eyelids. Then I take it thou shalt not object if I convey the audio to mine attorney." Her visage turned ashen. Forsooth, what she knew not was this. Upon the conclusion of that repast, and after mine ears did catch her utterance upon the terrace, I did not merely return within and don the guise of pretense. Upon the morrow, I didst place a diminutive contrivance for recording within the chamber of living. Forsooth, in the event of necessity. Pray, dost thou wish to know what tidings I bear? She did engage in discourse. She did prattle on with great abundance. With her kinsman, the uncle of her blood. With her companion Marcy. With her own self, indeed. In whispered tones, she doth peruse her bank app, reciting figures with fervor, discoursing on timelines and percentages, as though the shares of my company were already hers to command. "I meant not to wound thee," she spake then, tears cascading down her visage as though they were destined to cleanse all that was amiss. "It hath spiraled beyond our grasp. Verily, I did ponder that perchance I too was worthy of some measure of fortune. Thou didst," I did respond, and mine voice was steady as the tranquil sea. So tranquil, akin to the placid waters ere the tempest's wrath doth break. "Thou art worthy of truthfulness. Thou art worthy of reverence. Yet thou didst crave dominion. Text thou didst desire dominion. Thus, thou didst feign affection. Thou hast deceived us. Her uncle didst make another attempt. Thou shalt bring her to ruin shouldst thou make this matter known to the public eye. Wouldst thou truly desire such a burden upon thy conscience?" I didst smile, not from the wellspring of joy, but rather from the dawning of understanding that hath at last graced my mind. These souls beheld me not as a being of worth. They beheld me as naught but a stepping stone upon their path, a deed of exchange, a path to their solace. And now that the latter had taken their leave, a tempest of panic did ensue amongst them. "Public discourse I shall not embrace," I declared. "Such an act would be most trifling. Verily, I dost guard that which is rightfully mine." Then I did present unto her a folder, orderly arranged, as if by the hand of a master artisan, marked with a name, as the stars are named in the heavens. All that she endeavored to shift. Each detail of the bank, I prithee, reveal. Each parcel of land doth bear my name still affixed. Each cunning endeavor to transfer coin into shared coffers and draw forth its essence, was laid bare. And by that very folder stood another, in silent company. This missive, marked thus, "Notice of separation." With trembling fingers, she did unfasten it. "Lo, this be not just. Thou art but casting all to the winds." Upon her I cast mine eyes then, truly gazed upon her visage. Forsooth, after an age of obscurity, mine eyes beheld her with new-found clarity. Not as the maiden whom my heart didst cherish. Not as the lady I did wed. yet as the unfamiliar visage she had gradually assumed. Nay, I did declare. Thou didst cast it aside. I am but now engaged in the act of disposing of refuse. She wept with greater fervor, entreating now with earnest pleas, vowing with fervent heart to transform her ways. Verily, it was naught but a folly. Her uncle didst observe with arms entwined across his breast, with lips sealed, a silence profound. Perchance he doth ponder the implications for his own coffers, for he hath most assuredly entwined his fortunes with her cunning designs. I cared not. I did declare unto her that I would take my rest at an inn for a time. The dwelling remained in mine own possession, by law's decree. I would grant her a span of days to gather her belongings and depart. Yet should she lay her hand upon aught that is not hers, or dare to draw breath in proximity to my affairs once more, my counsel shall entangle her in such a mire of legalities that she would require a snorkel to draw breath anew. At last she took her leave. Yet weep I still. Her uncle, in a fit of ire, did attempt to cast the door shut with great force as he departed. I did not waver. The days that followed were steeped in silence. Strangely so. Her summons ceased to echo. The writings did wane, and then ceased altogether. She surely hath come to perceive that the harm hath been wrought, that naught remained to be salvaged. I did believe that this would mark the final chapter of our tale, until such time as her mother did summon me. That summons did alter the course of all. She did not inquire of my well-being, did not offer an apology. She made no effort to shield her daughter from a storm of accusation. Instead, she did declare, "Thou hast made thy point, Jason. Now, summon thy courage and mend this matter." With eyes fixed upon the device, I beheld it in utter disbelief, then released a brief, sardonic laugh. "What dost thou seek to mend, pray tell?" "Our kin," she did declare with fervor. "Dost thou believe that wealth grants thee the power to simply depart? That fair maiden hath bestowed upon thee 6 years of her precious existence. She didst enhance thy visage most splendidly. Thou art in her debt." In that moment, a fragment within me did shatter, yet not in sorrow's embrace. In a manner most conclusive, as if a long-forgotten latch, encrusted with the weight of time, had at last yielded to the gentle hand of fate. Forsooth, she was in the right. Mine own wife hath rendered me fair of visage, by feigning affection for me, by gracing the moment with a smile, as if summoned by the very fates. With words most fair, thou dost betray me, piercing deep whilst feigning kindness. And now, when all did fall asunder, her kin did believe I bore a debt unto them. I made no reply. I have but now concluded the discourse upon the line. Forsooth, it was not yet concluded. Not as of this moment. Strange it was, how swiftly the silence did transform into a cloak of comfort. Upon the dawn's first light, I found myself once more in solitude within the confines of the dwelling. Verily solitary. I did anticipate a void within my soul, or filled with wrath. Perchance both shall be so. Yet, in place of turmoil, I found clarity, as if my thoughts had been submerged in the depths for countless moons, and at last I have breached the surface of the waters. Upon the rear porch I did repose, a chalice of coffee in hand, gazing upon the familiar grounds where once I did envision a deck for her cherished garden of dreams. How curious it is, that she hath never sown a single seed upon this earth. Not a single tomato dost remain. Yet she did discourse upon it with great frequency, proclaimed it would be our endeavor. Yet another entry upon a lengthy scroll of hollow vows. It was not merely the treachery that did wound my heart. Verily, it was the spectacle most wondrous. The exactitude of it doth shine forth. How artfully she did weave the fabric of deception! How effortlessly did her kin entwine with the ensemble, as though fate had decreed this union from the very start. Perchance it hath indeed. That contemplation lingered within me far longer than I had anticipated. Upon that afternoon, I did venture to the office. Must I flee from this oppressive hush? Must I anchor my soul in that which hath not betrayed me? My business partners, Ryan and Chris, didst greet me with the wary compassion of 2 gentlemen who feared to utter the ill-fated word, yet sought to convey that they stood steadfastly by my side. Chris, that gentle soul, did but clasp mine shoulder and uttered, "Whatever thou dost require." Ryan didst draw me aside. She did summon me. "Thou art aware." I didst raise mine eyebrow. "When dost thou inquire?" On the morrow past. She did declare her wish to dispel the mists that cloud our discourse. She did declare her fears that thou mightst undertake some deed most extreme. I didst scoff. To drain the coffers and take flight to fair Costa Rica would have been most extreme indeed. Forsooth, I seek not vengeance merely for its own sake. Ryan didst nod, yet discomfort didst shadow his visage. She did entreat us to ponder anew the terms of our share accord. That didst halt my progress. "What dost thou mean by she?" She did inquire whether perchance we might lift the sharelock thou didst impose in the last quarter. Proclaimed it to be most unjust. Thou didst claim to have beguiled her. I did chuckle, soft and parched. Not for the mirth it brought forth, but for the certainty it did unveil. As the first scheme did falter, she did swiftly turn her course. "Neither shall I offer thee an apology. Neither claim nor possession doth reside here. Merely a fresh perspective, I dost declare. A fresh artifice doth emerge. Her most cherished pastime. She doth forget," I spake softly, "that she ne'er lent her hand to raise this abode. She hath but adorned it." Ryan spake naught in response to that. He had no need to do so. In the twilight of that eve, a missive from her graced my device. Silence reigns, for behold, a mere image of the chamber for guests, brimming with her belongings. A solitary line doth follow. "I take my leave. Upon the counter, thy key I didst leave. I do wish thee joy and contentment." There existed not a mark of punctuation. "Farewell, I bid thee not." There exists no true resolution. Mine eyes beheld that missive for a time most prolonged, far beyond what reason would allow. Not for the pain it wrought, but for the silence it did not utter. Without a trace of regret. No recognition dost thou receive. Nay, I beseech thee, forgive my treachery. Merely a half-hearted endeavor to invoke remorse. Yet another act left uncompleted upon the stage. I did not respond. Instead, I didst pour for myself a libation, a potion dark and costly, which I had been reserving for a moment of festivity. I deemed that liberty did indeed merit qualification. Upon the eve's descent, I commenced my search through all that her delicate hands had graced. Each missive that doth traverse the ether. Each tale, indeed. Each parchment, every scroll. I didst create duplicates. Images captured in time's fleeting grasp. Safeguards of yore. I was not given to paranoia. I stood ready. Forsooth, those of her ilk do not simply vanish into the ether. They do turn upon their axis. They do arise once more. And when they return, lo, they bring forth their legal champions. And verily, a week hence, a missive did arrive within mine own mailbox. She didst contest the separation accord. She did assert that she was compelled against her will. Wrought with the art of emotional subterfuge. She did declare that I did wield the reins of our coffers and did sequester her from the matters of kin. Mine mirth did nearly escape my lips. She would ne'er permit me to choose the hue of the drapes without first seeking counsel from her mother. Yet, this matter doth not concern verity. It was a matter of great weight upon the soul. It was a matter of donning the guise of the wronged, ere the complete tale could unfold. Forsooth, if she did wield the quill of fate, victory might yet be hers to claim. In that moment, I didst resolve upon my course. I did summon my counsel, and did bid him grant the release of the evidence forthwith. The soundings captured in time. The missives, dispatched through the ether. The images captured in stillness. All that doth exist. Yet not for the gaze of the multitude. Not as of this moment. Merely to her counsel. Let them hearken to the whispers that graced mine ears upon yon patio. Allow them to peruse the missives. Let them behold the endeavors of transfer. Let them ponder whether they truly wish to summon this matter before the courts. I deemed it would procure a hush. Instead, it hath procured a treasure far more worthy. Alas, a tempest of dread doth seize the heart. Upon the morrow's light, a call did not come from her. Not from her counsel. Yet from her mother doth it spring. once more. This time, her voice did tremble with uncertainty. Not in wrathful mood. Not haughty nor self-satisfied. Merely, petite. Jason, my dearest, she did proclaim. In that cautious manner which mortals adopt when they fancy themselves most wise, I do believe we have allowed this matter to spiral beyond our control. Dost thou not? I spake not a word. She did proceed, with swifter pace henceforth. Thy wife, she doth bear great sorrow. Methinks she doth lament all that hath transpired. Verily, we are all aware of the trials that beset us when passions do soar. Perchance thou mightst grace my humble abode with thy presence. Pray, let us discourse upon this matter. As one kin, united in purpose. Kinship. Yon utterance. Once more. Verily, I came nigh to uttering a consent. Verily, 'tis but a breath away. Yet, in the recesses of my mind, I recalled the gaze of her daughter, piercing and resolute, on that fateful eve when she vowed eternal devotion, all the while weaving a scheme to usurp that which I had wrought. Mine memory doth recall the manner in which her uncle did laugh upon that fair patio. The manner in which her mother did sit yonder, across from me through the passing years, feigning ignorance of the fissures she herself did fashion. Thus I did advise, thou shouldst bid thy daughter to inscribe the necessary documents. A moment's respite. Then a fragile hush did reign. And if she doth not? Her mother did inquire. Mine countenance did brighten with a smile. Then shall I unveil to the realm her true essence. And thus it doth remain. Forsooth, in this moment. Forsooth, what I have yet to reveal unto them, what remains shrouded in their ignorance, is that the recordings are not the sole trump I possess. There doth lie more yet. Matters they fervently wish to remain shrouded in darkness. Matters of coin and commerce. Matters of law and decree. Matters that would render every bridge upon which they have ever leaned reduced to naught but smouldering ash. Yet have I not made mine decision. Forsooth, I desire them to toil and perspire. Forsooth, I did bide my time, a full 3 days, following that fateful call upon the telephone. 3 days hath passed in silence from her lips. Her progenitor, the learned advocates of the law. There be no tidings to share. No menaces shall befall us. Not even the feigned cordial inquiries they employed to sweeten my disposition. I didst comprehend fully the import of that utterance. They didst scramble with great haste. Perchance they seek to unearth some foul tidings of mine, or to weave a tale that casts me as the knave. Silence reigned supreme, a stillness most profound, excessively tranquil, as the stillness doth precede the tremor of the earth. For 3 days hence, I did devote my time to preparation. No longer did wrath reside within my breast. That portion hath been consumed by flame. What I now did feel was a singularity of purpose, chilled and unwavering concentration. Forsooth, it was no longer a matter of shattered hearts. It was a matter of honor, and ensuring she doth not alter the narrative of our existence into a woeful chronicle of her being wronged and misapprehended. She did desire a departure unblemished, one in which I did bestow upon another half of all that I had wrought, and departed, appearing as the resentful former spouse. She verily came close to its grasp as well. Had I not ventured forth to procure ice that fateful eve, if I had but poured the drinks a minute more slowly, perchance I did smile throughout the banquet, raise a cup to our tomorrows, and bestow upon her the keys to my realm. Yet, verily, existence doth shield those who lend their ear to its whispers. At last, mine eyes didst turn with heedful gaze. Upon the 4th morn, I did convene with mine attorney for a final discourse. All matters have been brought to a close. All the scrolls and parchments. All the tokens of truth. And of utmost import, the countermotion doth arise. One who would not merely relinquish her assertions upon my enterprise, but render herself financially bare for her treacherous designs. We did not employ that term with frivolity. We possessed evidence most certain. Requests for the transfer of funds through the ethereal wires of commerce. Admissions of sound. Plans hath been shared with those beyond our circle. Her companion, Marcy, had, in her unknowing grace, lent us aid. She hath dispatched missives alluding to the course of events. The scheme, devised with utmost care, The recompense. Mine attorney did inquire, Art thou certain thou dost wish to proceed with this? Once this be filed, 'tis not solely about coin that we shall speak. It shall be made known to the multitude. Most unseemly. I gazed into his eye, a mirror of the soul. Well met. Let all behold. Thus, we did proceed in line. The tidings did not tarry long ere they found their way to her ears. In but a few hours' time, a missive did arrive upon my device. Merely a pair of words. Thou wretched fiend. I did not respond. Lo, an hour hence, another shall come to pass. Thou didst declare thou wouldst not take thy matters to the light of day. Thou didst pledge thy word. I had not. I did not pledge mine word to thee. I did but utter a word of refusal at first. Yet, the course of fate doth alter when one doth choose to torment existence, whilst demanding of thee a vessel to quench the flames. The morrow hence, her counsel did summon mine. In his voice, there didst dwell a tempest of panic. They desired not this matter to grace the court's hallowed halls. They desired not its presence in the scrolls of news. They desired it not in any place. Verily, it seems her mother didst receive calls from her companions of the country club. Whispers did begin to dance upon the air. Lo, a phrase hath been unmasked, one that speaks of treachery in the realm of commerce, entwined within the sacred bonds of matrimony. Never did I utter a single word unto the press. Yet, a curious matter doth arise concerning those who practice the law. Oft do they converse, believing such discourse shall aid their client in need. Lo, in a moment's breath, they did find themselves inclined to reach an accord. They did proffer to relinquish all assertions. She would relinquish all claims to the enterprise. She would depart from the dwelling. She would affix her signature to the covenant of silence. No ado. No conflict doth arise. Yet, alas, the hour had passed. Thus I did declare, nay, I did respond with a mightier retort. Thou shalt publicly withdraw thy utterances. Thou shalt pen thine apology forthwith. And thou shalt restore each and every coin thou hast secreted within that concealed account. Her counsel didst resist with fervor. Proclaimed it to be most excessive. I dispatched the recording of her uncle's discourse, wherein he doth weave a cunning ruse ere the simpleton doth discern the truth. In but a day they did yield unto fate. In yon chamber of neutrality, amidst the bustling heart of the town, I beheld her for the final occasion. In this gathering, no advocates of the law dost grace our presence. Only we two, a mediator present, and a weighty tome of papers laid upon the table betwixt us. She appeared transformed. Weary am I, more advanced in years. Not in body, I prithee, yet in the manner of those who, having lingered too long in self-deceit, wear a countenance most telling. Her voice, a whisper soft, did gently break the silence when she did speak. Mine intent was not for matters to reach such a length. I spake not a word. Upon reflection, I did ponder. In mine own heart, I did believe that with but a modicum of control, I should find solace and safety therein. Thou hast ever possessed all that thou dost desire. The reverence, the enterprise, the companions. Thou hadst me, I did declare. Mine utterance did not tremble. Text thou didst not desire me. Thou didst desire that which I brought forth. She gazed upon her hands with a troubled heart. Her delicate fingers didst pluck at a hangnail, until the crimson tide didst flow forth. In trembling tones she did confide, Fear hath gripped my heart. Never did I imagine thou wouldst take thy leave. Mine thoughts did lead me to believe I was ensnared. That, indeed, did rend my very soul asunder. Not from the wellspring of compassion, but from the light of understanding. She found herself ensnared, not with me, but in her own sorrowful lament. Her envy doth consume her heart. She would allow it to decay her very essence from within. And when she found herself unable to craft her own creation, she sought to pilfer that which was mine. We did affix our signatures to the parchment. No embraces shall be found. Not a single tear shall fall. Merely quill and hush. She cast upon me a final gaze ere she departed. I do pray thou findest one who perceives thee for thy true self, quoth she. Lo, I beheld her depart. Then did I slide the folder into mine briefcase, arose, and ventured forth into the radiant sunlight. Yet the tale was not concluded, for she had wrought her havoc still, not solely to mine own self, but to the very essence of my good name. Some souls did lend their ears to her tale first, and in their hearts they did find belief. Thus I didst make mine final advance, not from a heart of spite, but from the call of necessity. Upon mine own hand I did inscribe a declaration, not a proclamation for the public ear, not a revelation of all secrets, merely a message, clear and resolute. In the wake of recent tumultuous events surrounding my separation, I feel compelled to declare that any assertions cast upon my integrity or the manner of my business dealings are, without a doubt, wholly unfounded. Upon careful scrutiny hath the evidence been examined by learned legal minds, and thus hath the formal accords been established. In faith I hold to transparency, respect, and accountability, and I shall steadfastly uphold these virtues in both my personal and professional endeavors. It was dispatched unto investors, partners, and clients alike. The aid bestowed upon me was most abundant and profound. Those who once held their tongues now didst extend their hands, recounting their own tales, expressing remorse for their disbelief, and pledging their steadfast support. Though it did not mend all in a single night, it did sow anew the seeds of hope. Faith, dear heart, the sort upon which I could construct a foundation. The abode doth belong to me now. Void, indeed, yet it doth seem more pure, as if the very walls dost once more draw breath, awakening from their slumber. The enterprise doth flourish as never before. Ryan and Chris did elevate me to the esteemed position of CEO, not for the sake of tumult, but for that I had shown my mettle in the face of adversity. And as for her, the last tidings I received spoke of her taking residence with her mother. She did endeavor to establish a consulting enterprise, yet found herself unable to attract clients. Folks do converse, especially when there exist tokens of our transactions. I did not bring her to ruin. I was not compelled to do so. I hath but revealed unto the realm her true essence. And thus I did permit her to descend, not from spite, but rather for sooth. Some souls dost learn only when the ground they believed steadfast doth crumble beneath their very feet. Alas, the tale of love I believed myself to inhabit hath not unfolded as I had envisioned. Yet I possess a treasure far more splendid. I have emerged from my confines, with mine own name preserved, with mine enterprise fortified. Once more, my future doth belong to me, and I shall embrace that conclusion, serene, pure, well-deserved, above any fanciful tale. Upon any morrow,